Hey everyone, welcome. This is Nate Hallowell with Pragmatic back with another video, this time on Power Automate. So a couple weeks ago I was having a meeting with a client and he was having a problem with a flow triggering from a SharePoint list. The problem was that the flow would run every single time an item in the list was modified. But what he really wanted was only to run the flow when a specific column in that item changed. So let's take a look, let's dive right in and see how we solve that problem. Alright, so let's dive right into figuring out how we can come up with a creative solution to solve this problem. So here's my SharePoint list, and you'll see it's pretty standard, pretty simple PTO request list where we have a title, start date, end date, a couple other columns, and then a request status column. So the request status column is just a choice field with a couple different choices of, I think we have new, approved, and rejected. Yes, new, approved, and rejected. So in this particular use case, we only want to trigger a flow or an automated process when someone comes in and modifies that column, right? We don't necessarily want to run the flow when someone comes in and changes the dates or changes the total hours requested or changes the title of the request. Maybe this flow is set to send an email to the requester saying that, hey, the status has changed and it's now approved or it's now rejected. So how can we narrow down this flow to only run when just that column changes? So if I flip over to Power Automate, and this would be an automated cloud flow, right? It waits for a triggering event to happen before running the flow. So just for the purposes of demonstration, I'll show really quickly how you would do that in Dataverse very easily. So we're gonna select when a row is added, modified, or deleted, and we'll click Create. And then with this trigger action here, we have the change type. So we would only want to run this when the record is modified. We would point to a table name, point to a scope for that table, whether it's the whole organization or just particular users. But we also have this advanced options section here where we can put a comma-separated list of just the columns that we want to track changes on. So if you have a column that's the status column and you only want to run this flow when the status column changes, you would put the status column right here in the select columns. However, right, we're not using Dataverse in this example. Our client did not have that premium capability, so they were using SharePoint lists to track their records. So instead, we need to use the SharePoint connector for our trigger step. And so I'm going to search for SharePoint, and then looking through the different triggers that we have on SharePoints or SharePoint lists, we have when an item is created, right? That's not necessarily what we want because we only want to run this when the item changes or is modified. That means we also can't use when an item is created or modified, right? We don't want to run this when the item is created. So what we have to do is scroll down, and we have an option here that's called when an item or file is modified. So that's going to be our triggering action. I'm going to point to my site address. That's going to be this InfoPath conversion site that I kind of been using for dumping grounds. The list name is this PTO request demo. And now if I click show advanced options, just like I did with the Dataverse trigger, we don't have those same parameters that we can pass in. We do have the limit columns by view, but if we just specify the status column, then that's the only column we're ever gonna really have access to in the dynamic content of this flow. So that's not really gonna work either. So what we need to do is create some trigger conditions on this step. So to do that, we're gonna come up here to the settings and click on settings, and then down at the very bottom of the settings window, we have our trigger conditions. So we can add trigger conditions here, right? We have to write the right syntax, and I'll show you a cool trick on how to do that. Actually, my partner Jonathan Silva recently put out a video on exactly how to have Power Automate write your syntax for you. So I'll put the link to that video in the description of this. But what a trigger condition does is it only runs the flow if certain conditions are met. So in our case, we only want to run this flow if the one status column has been changed, right? The problem with that is there's no really out-of-the-box ability to just track changes on this one column. So the creative solution that we came up with was to add a second column, and we're just gonna do a text column here. And basically the point of what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a column that is going to mirror the request status column, right? So I'm gonna call this request status trigger, and I'll save that. And now what we want to do is we only want to run this flow when the request status column does not equal the request status trigger. So what I mean by that is we only want to run the flow if this is, let's say this item is, we have an item in here and we'll mark it as new, right? So the request status trigger column would also say new. So what we want to do is create a flow that says when these two columns do not match, then go ahead and run the flow. Meaning if a manager or someone comes in to approve this request and they change the request status column to say approved, and if the request status trigger column still says new, those two values do not equal each other, so the flow will run. So let's go back to Power Automate and see how we can set that up. So what I have to do first is, because I just added that column in, I'm gonna have to leave this flow and come back and create a new one, basically refreshing that SharePoint list in Power Automate. So we wanna do an automated cloud flow, and this time we'll do when an item is created, or no, when let me just search for SharePoint. And we want when an item or file is modified. There we go. So I'm going to create my flow. And again, I'm going to point to my site and my list. Perfect. Now let's take a look at how we can have Power Automate write that filter condition or that trigger condition syntax for us. So we're going to go to a new step. We're going to do a filter array. And basically the array we're filtering is the array that gets returned from the value of the item that is modified. So we want to say only where the request, let me search that in my dynamic content. So where the request status value does not equal, so is not equal to our request status trigger. Now that we've got our kind of condition set up, if we click edit in advanced mode, it actually writes that condition for us. Now be careful, this actually goes onto the second line. So if you have a longer condition, it's going to be down on the second line as well. So go ahead and Control C that syntax right there. Pop back up to your trigger action and go to your settings and add a trigger condition, and then paste in that perfect formula that's written for us, right? We wouldn't want to have to write that whole thing ourselves. Just let Power Automate do it for you. So now I can click done, and now I can get rid of this filter array step. And what we'll do next, just to test this out, make sure that it works as expected, let's go ahead and add a new step, and we'll do a simple compose, right? We'll just pull in the title of that record that was modified. So we'll do compose, and we'll just bring in the title. So let's save this, and let's do a manual test and make sure this works. Right? So again, this SharePoint list is totally empty, so I need to create a record. And because this trigger action is when an item is modified, it should not run when I first create the item. So let's go ahead and test that out. So I'm going to do a manual test, right? Because we've never run this before, so there's no option to do an automatic test. And now the flow is going to wait for us and wait for this triggering condition or this triggering action. So let's go back to our list and let's add an item. All right, so I'll just give it a title here of should not run. Okay, the request status is equal to new. That's fine. I don't need to put in anything else. Everything else, they're not mandatory fields. And let's click save. Okay, so if I go back to my flow, let's see. nothing is happening, right? Because we have not modified anything. We've only created an item. So that part's working good. So let's go back to that item. And one thing to point out, and we'll get to this in just a minute, a little bit later in the video, but the request status trigger is just a single line of text. And the purpose of that is to ultimately match the value that's in the request status field. But because we just created this item and we don't yet have any sort of automated way to take that value from the status column and move it over to the trigger column, we'll have to just create a very simple flow next to account for that, right? Because if I go ahead and I change this one and I change the title of it, and because we're modifying the record, and technically the request status does not equal the request status trigger, right? We have a null value here, so those don't match. So if I change this to should run, then ultimately this flow should run right now. And hopefully, with the magic of Power Automate, our flow ran successfully. Perfect. And in that compose step, it should say should run, right? Perfect. So it's working as expected, but it's maybe not ideal because all we did was modify the title, not the status column, but because the status column does not equal the status trigger column yet, we have to account for that. So let's add one more step onto this. Let's go back to create, and we'll do another new automated cloud flow. And this one will be just when an item is created. So when an item is created in the SharePoint list, we're going to go ahead and match the two values, match the request status and pull that over to the request status value column. So let's go ahead and point to our site. I'm going to point to my list, and we'll do a new step. So when that item is created, all we want to do is update the item. Again, the site and the list, and then the ID for this item is just the ID from when the item is created. So just update that same item. And now what do we want to put in the request status trigger? Well, first of all, let's not update the request status value. We want to leave it as whatever it is at the time. It's going to be new, but now we want to, in the request status trigger, right, we'll use our dynamic content from when the item is created. We want to pull in the request status value so that it will always match. So let's test this flow out. So these two flows, even though they're separate, they're going to be working in conjunction with each other. Title is required, sorry about that. All right, we'll save this flow. And now I'm going to do a quick test and make sure this works. So let's go, we'll have it watch us, so do manually. All right, we're going to wait for it to spin up. Now it's spinning, it's waiting for us to create a record. So let's go ahead and add a new record, and we'll call this testing number 2. Right, we'll put in we'll actually fill one out. We'll do start date of the 8th, end date of the 9th. We're taking 2 days off. We'll put in 16 hours requested, blah, 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 and save. So now the item was just created. So that second flow that we just created has now, if you notice, right over here, it updated the request status automatically. So let's go ahead and take a look. Our flow ran successfully, perfect. And now we've got everything set up so that we can go back to SharePoint. And let's say now I'm the approver. And I come in and, you know what, before I'm the approver, I'm gonna pretend I'm the requester again. And I'm gonna change the name here. I'm no longer testing. So I'm gonna just update this item, and I'm gonna say this is now test 3, right? I just wanna change the title. So what should happen is nothing on that other flow, right? Because the two still match, that those two columns right over here, the request status is still equal to the request status trigger. So that flow should have never ran. So let's go ahead and check that out. So I'm going to go to My Flows. I should have named these better. I think it was request trigger. got it, and it hasn't run recently. The last time it ran was 3 minutes ago when we got that first one that said should run, right? So let's go back. It has not run again since then. So our logic is working, right? We go back, we change another field. Let's say the total hours requested is actually, 18. I don't know, maybe people work 9-hour days. So we'll save that. And because we changed the item, but the request status and the request status trigger are still equal to one another, then we notice that the flow has never ran. Now, the very last step, this is probably the most important one, right? If I go in right now and I change this request status, if I change that to something other than new, then these two values will no longer match. And we might get into an infinite looping situation where it keeps updating the item over and over. So what we need to do as a very final step in this flow, our original flow, right, where we have that trigger condition, we need to do one more final step, right? Because this is the flow that you would actually build out, right? So when that status column changes, you want to, send an email to the requester or send an approval to the original approver's manager. I don't know, like whatever your flow needs to be, this is the flow where you would build it. So as a very last step, right, you would put all your email actions, all your approvals actions right here. But then as a very final step, we then need to go in and update the item, update the original item. And just like we did in our other flow, we now need to make those two columns match so that we don't get into an infinite loop. So to update item, and same step we did on the last one, right? So info path, the PTO request, and then the ID from the original item that was modified. So we're gonna go into here. I'm gonna take out, I don't want it to just go to new every single time, right? It's gonna set it back. So now we need to make sure that the request status trigger is going to match the request status column. So I'll put in the request status value, and that would be your final step. So this will be creating the, making those two match again. I keep doing that, I'm so sorry. The title is required. All right, so save that. Now let's do one final test. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do a test, I'm gonna do another manual test. I don't wanna run this on the same parameters as the first time. So let's go in and let's go to that second item, right? This one that's called test 3. Now I'm gonna pretend that I'm the approver. I come in here, I wanna edit this item, and now I wanna change the request status to approved. So if I take my hands off, then in just a second here, that request status trigger column should flip back to approved, which means those two values match, and the flow will not just continue to loop over and over and over. So if I refresh this page, boom, approved and approved. So that's it. This is a nice creative solution to watch just one particular column in a SharePoint list and see if that item is modified in that column. So I hope this was helpful. It's just another tick in the win column for Dataverse, right? This is out of the box stuff with Dataverse, but if you don't have access to Dataverse, then this is a nice little creative workaround for how to solve what you're trying to solve. So thanks again for watching. If you found this content helpful and useful, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We're putting out multiple videos per week on all of the Power Platform tools. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you in another video real soon.